Tell me something. Did your school ever teach you how to manage money? No, right? We learned algebra, memorized the parts of a frog, but no one showed us how to handle debt, build credit, or grow wealth. And that's why so many people graduate only to fall straight into money traps: student loans, credit cards, living paycheck to paycheck. Today marks part 1 of our financial literacy series, where I'll share the money lessons schools never taught us. Once you know them, the way you think about money and the way you handle it will completely change. And trust me, you won't want to miss part 2, where we dive even deeper into how money really works. But here's the good news. This doesn't have to be your story. If you're watching this right now, it means you want something different. You want to break free from the cycle most people never escape. So in today's episode, part 1 of our financial literacy series, we're going to uncover the money lessons schools never taught you, the exact principles the wealthy understand, but most ordinary people miss. These lessons are not just theory. They are practical, life-changing, and could mean the difference between staying stuck in financial struggle or stepping into true financial freedom. And I'll warn you, once you hear these truths, you'll never look at money the same way again. 1. Money is a language, and most people are financially illiterate. Most people think money is just about dollars, cents, or the balance in their bank account. But in reality, money is a language. And just like any language, if you don't learn it, you'll never understand what's being said around you. Think about it. Contracts, credit agreements, investment terms, mortgages, these are all written in the language of money. But schools never taught us how to read or speak this language. That's why so many people sign loans they don't understand, swipe credit cards without realizing the interest trap, or miss out on investment opportunities because the jargon feels too intimidating. The wealthy? They speak this language fluently. They understand what compound interest means, how leverage works, and why debt can either destroy you or make you rich. Here's a shocking truth. If you don't learn the language of money, you're destined to be manipulated by those who do. Banks, credit card companies, and lenders profit off financial illiteracy every single day. Ask yourself this. How many times have you nodded along when hearing financial terms but deep down had no clue what they meant? That's the gap keeping people poor. Learning this language isn't optional. It's survival. And once you start, you'll see opportunities you never even noticed before. 2. The school system trains employees, not wealth builders. Ever wonder why school focuses so much on memorizing and following instructions? That's because the system wasn't designed to create financially free individuals. It was designed to create good workers. Think about the typical path. Go to school, get good grades, graduate, find a job, work hard, retire at 65. That's the formula we were sold. But in reality, that formula is broken. Jobs no longer guarantee security. Pensions are disappearing. Inflation eats away at savings. The wealthy know this. That's why they don't rely on a paycheck as their only income source. Instead, they build assets, businesses, investments, intellectual property that keep earning even when they stop working. Schools taught us how to calculate square roots, but not how to calculate cash flow. They taught us how to write essays, but not how to write a financial plan. And because of that, millions of people spend decades trading their time for money, without realizing that time is the most limited resource they have. Here's a simple but brutal truth. If you follow the script school gave you, you'll likely end up working for someone who ignored that script and built wealth on their own terms. 3. Credit can be your worst enemy or your greatest weapon. When you hear the word credit, what comes to mind? For most people, it's fear. Credit card debt, bad credit scores, rejection from banks. That's because no one ever taught us how credit actually works. Credit isn't just about borrowing money, it's about trust and leverage. A strong credit profile can open doors to real estate, business loans, and investment opportunities that can multiply your wealth. But poor credit? That will trap you in cycles of high interest rates and constant rejection. Most people learn about credit the hard way, by maxing out cards in their early 20s, missing payments, and watching their credit score plummet. No one told them that a single late payment could stay on their record for years. Meanwhile, wealthy individuals use credit differently. They don't just spend it, they use it strategically. They leverage business credit to grow companies, use low-interest loans to acquire assets, and even rack up reward points to travel for free. Here's the cliffhanger. Credit isn't evil. Ignorance about credit is. Once you learn how to play the game, the same system that keeps others stuck can actually become your ladder to financial freedom. 4. Saving alone will never make you rich. This one hurts, because we've all been told since childhood, save your money. And yes, saving is important. But here's the problem. Saving alone will never make you wealthy. Why? Because inflation is constantly eating away at the value of your money. If you put $10,000 in a savings account today, in 10 years it will buy you far less than it does today. That's the silent killer most people don't realize. Wealthy people understand this. That's why instead of just saving, they invest. They put their money in assets that grow faster than inflation: stocks, real estate, businesses. Their money isn't sitting still, it's working for them every single day. Think of it this way. Money in a savings account is like an employee who never shows up to work. It's there, but it's not doing anything. Money invested in assets, on the other hand, is like an employee who works 24/7 without complaining. And here's the kicker. People who rely only on savings often end up broke in retirement, while those who learn to invest retire with freedom and options. The harsh reality of financial traps. This is perhaps the most dangerous lesson schools never taught us. The world is full of financial traps, and they're designed to keep you stuck. Credit cards with easy minimum payments, payday loans promising quick cash, buy now pay later schemes that look harmless but pile up silently. Even student loans, marketed as good debt, can cripple people for decades if not managed properly. These traps exist because financial ignorance is profitable for someone else. Every late fee, every overdraft, every high-interest loan puts money in the pockets of banks, lenders, and corporations. Now here's the scary part. Once you fall into these traps, climbing out becomes extremely difficult without the right knowledge. Many people spend years just paying interest, never touching the actual debt. But wealthy people? They recognize traps instantly. They read the fine print. They know when to walk away. And most importantly, they know how to turn the system in their favor instead of being its victim. So let me ask you this. Are you playing the game of money, or is money playing you? So here's what we uncovered today. 1. Money is a language, and if you don't speak it, you'll be left out of the conversation. 2. Schools trained us to be employees, not wealth builders. 3. Credit can either chain you down or lift you up. 4. Saving is safe, but investing is what creates wealth. 5. And the world is filled with financial traps designed to keep the uninformed poor. These are the money lessons schools never taught you, but that doesn't mean you can't learn them now. The difference between financial struggle and financial freedom is knowledge applied with action. And the fact that you're here proves you're ready to take control of your financial destiny. Now here's your next step. This was just part 1 of our financial literacy series. In the next video, we're diving into the harsh truth about how money really works, where we'll break down assets, liabilities, income, and expenses in a way that will shock you and change how you see money forever. So don't miss it. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and drop a comment telling me which lesson hit you the hardest today. Because wealth isn't built by chance, it's built by choice. And today, you've already taken your first step. 6. The truth about income versus wealth. One of the greatest lies society teaches is this: if you earn more money, you'll become wealthy. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Income doesn't equal wealth. Let me explain. You can make $100,000 a year and still be broke if you spend $110,000. On the other hand, someone earning $40,000 a year but living smart, Investing wisely and avoiding debt can quietly build a fortune. The difference isn't the paycheck, it's what you do with it. Think about all the celebrities and athletes who make millions, only to go bankrupt. Mike Tyson, for example, earned over $300 million during his boxing career, and still filed for bankruptcy. Why? Because income flowed in, but wealth never stayed. Wealth is not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep, grow, and protect. Schools taught us to chase higher salaries, but they never taught us how to control lifestyle inflation, how to invest excess money, or how to create streams of passive income. Here's a wake-up call. Most people are not struggling because they don't earn enough. They're struggling because they don't know how to manage what they earn. The wealthy know this secret. Money is a seed, not just a paycheck. Plant it wisely, and it grows into a tree. Spend it recklessly, and it disappears forever. So ask yourself, are you chasing income or are you building wealth? 7. The power of compounding. The lesson everyone missed. Albert Einstein once called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world, yet schools never made it a priority to teach us. And that's tragic, because compounding is the single most powerful force in wealth creation. Here's how it works. When you invest money, your money earns interest. But then that interest earns more interest. Over time, your money grows not just in a straight line, but exponentially. Let me give you an example. If a 20-year-old invests just $200 a month in the stock market, earning an average return of 8% annually, by the time they're 60, they'll have over $600,000. But if they wait until they're 30 to start, they'll only have about $300,000. Same monthly amount, different starting point, yet the gap is hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's the brutal magic of compounding. Time is either your best friend or your worst enemy. And here's the pattern interrupt. Most people don't realize that compounding also works against them. Credit card debt compounds too. A $5,000 balance at 20% interest can balloon into over $15,000 if ignored. The wealthy understand compounding deeply. That's why Warren Buffett started investing as a teenager, and why his fortune didn't just come from big wins, it came from decades of letting compounding do the heavy lifting. So the question is, are you letting compounding work for you or against you? 8. Why financial goals matter more than hard work. We were told from childhood, work hard and you'll succeed. But if that were true, every construction worker, every nurse, every factory worker would already be wealthy. The reality? Hard work alone doesn't create financial success. Clear financial goals do. Think about it. If you set out on a road trip without a destination, you'll waste gas, time, and energy. That's exactly what most people do with their money. They work endlessly, but with no roadmap. Financially literate people set clear, measurable goals. They don't just say, I want to be rich. They say, I want to save $20,000 in 2 years. Or, I want to retire by 50 with $2 million in assets. Those numbers give direction. Studies show people who write down their financial goals are over 40% more likely to achieve them. Why? Because clarity creates discipline, and discipline compounds into results. Here's a powerful story. Jim Carrey, before he became famous, wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated 5 years in the future. He carried it in his wallet. By 1994, he had landed Dumb and Dumber and was paid exactly that amount. That's the power of a clear, written goal. Hard work is important, but without direction, it's like rowing a boat with no compass. You move, but you never arrive. So ask yourself right now, what's your money destination? Because if you don't decide, the system will decide for you. 9. The wealth gap between assets and liabilities. Here's a lesson that separates the wealthy from the struggling, the difference between assets and liabilities. Schools never taught this distinction. They told us that buying a house is an asset and getting a car loan is normal. But here's the truth. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. If you buy a house and rent it out, generating cash flow, that's an asset. But if you buy a house and you're paying the mortgage, taxes, and upkeep without income coming in, that's a liability, no matter what anyone tells you. The same goes for cars. A luxury car looks impressive, but the moment you drive it off the lot, it loses value and drains money through insurance, gas, and maintenance. That's a liability, not an asset. The wealthy focus on acquiring assets, stocks, rental properties, businesses, intellectual property. They know that assets build wealth because they generate income or grow in value. The poor and middle class? They spend money on liabilities disguised as assets. Here's a painful example. Many people upgrade to bigger homes as their income rises. On paper, they feel richer. But in reality, their debt and expenses grow, leaving them more trapped than before. The bottom line is this: if you want wealth, start asking one simple question before every purchase. Will this put money in my pocket or take money out? The answer will change your financial life forever. 10. The legacy of financial education. Finally, here's the lesson that ties everything together. Financial literacy is not just about you. It's about the generations after you. Wealthy families don't just pass down money. They pass down financial education. They teach their kids about budgeting, investing, credit, and entrepreneurship. That's why their wealth grows over generations instead of disappearing. Meanwhile, families without financial literacy pass down debt, stress, and money problems. The cycle repeats because no one breaks it with knowledge. Think of the Rockefellers. Their family wealth has lasted over 6 generations. Why? Because John D. Rockefeller didn't just leave money, he left systems, trusts, and most importantly, financial education. Compare that to lottery winners. Studies show that over 70% of lottery winners go broke within 5 years. Why? Because they received money, but not the literacy to manage it. The truth is, whether you realize it or not, you are building a legacy right now. Your children, and their children, will either inherit financial stress or financial wisdom, depending on what you choose to learn today. So when you invest in your financial education, you're not just changing your life, you're changing your family tree. So now, we've completed part 1 of our financial literacy series. Let's quickly recap the 10 life-changing lessons schools never taught us. 1. Money is a language, and most are financially illiterate. 2. Schools trained employees, not wealth builders. 3. Credit can destroy you or elevate you. 4. Saving alone won't make you rich. Investing will. 5. The world is full of financial traps designed to keep you broke. 6. Income is not wealth. Wealth is what you keep and grow. 7. Compounding is the silent force that builds or destroys fortunes. 8. Hard work without goals leads nowhere. 9. Assets and liabilities define the wealth gap. 10. Financial education is the true legacy. These lessons are the foundation of financial freedom, and the fact that you're here means you're ready to rewrite your financial story. But we're just getting started, because in part 2 of this series, we'll uncover the harsh truth about how money really works. We'll break down assets, liabilities, income, and expenses in a way you've never seen before. This will be the moment you finally understand the mechanics of money, the exact blueprint the rich use but schools ignored. So here's your call to action. Subscribe right now so you don't miss part 2. Smash that like button if you got value today. And comment below which of these 10 lessons hit you the hardest. Because remember, wealth isn't taught in classrooms, it's taught in choices. And today, you've chosen to learn what most people will ignore their entire lives. This is Wealth Maker Hubs, and your journey to financial freedom has just begun.